Welcome to the Making Hay podcast with Marcia Miller from RFG Advisory. In this podcast, we help veterinarians, from new graduates to seasoned practitioners, navigate the sometimes tricky waters of personal finance. We all know the saying, making hay while the sun shines. As cheesy as it sounds, it represents a lot of what we help people do in their financial lives and businesses. We know each of you faces unique challenges, and we're here to offer advice tailored just for you, anchored in service, stewardship, and a genuine understanding of your profession. Join Marcia Miller, your guide on this journey. Marcia has spent over 25 years in financial services, and her passion is helping vets like you get a handle on your finances. Tune into each episode as we meet at the intersection of veterinary practice and financial management. With help from expert guests and insights from Marcia's own experience, we're going to tackle your biggest financial questions head on.
Welcome to the Making Hay podcast with your host, Marcia Miller. Marcia, it's good to see you. Good to be with you as always. How you been?
Hey, Bill. I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm well. I'm looking forward to this edition of your podcast because you're going to talk about something I think that probably a lot of veterinary practices don't think too much about, which are 401k plans. And you've got a great guest to do that with today. Paul Villanueva is going to be joining you, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say and how he explains the importance of these plans.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. I think that a lot of practice owners think that it's not sustainable it's too expensive, or it's for many reasons they don't have one or don't want to have one. And so today we want to just educate everyone and talk about 401k plans. So Paul has been a retirement plan professional for over 20 years. He's worked with some of the major companies out there, serving as the national insurance platform record keeper. He served both advisors and companies of all sizes. Currently, Paul is regional director for Human Interest as the financial advisor channel, which we partner with Human Interest. They're our go-to 401k plan. They support us and our team, and they work with small and medium-sized businesses to assist their employees, helping them invest. And we're going to just jump into all things 401k. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm great, Marcia. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited about the topic, and I love talking about it.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you. And we've talked a lot in our past episodes about the importance of financial planning for veterinarians. So whether they're associate veterinarians or corporate or own a practice themselves, the personal financial planning process is so important. And we're here to empower all veterinarians at all aspects of life. But today, I guess, is more geared towards the practice owner and talking about the importance of looking at a 401k plan. And so I just kind of wanted to start with the basics. You're the subject matter expert here. So we just want you to lead the conversation into educating these veterinarians. I guess start with an overview of the 401k structure. If you could just tell us really what that means. I know they've been around since late 70s or so. How are they structured and what has changed in all these years?
Well, I mean, they have been around for a long time and really haven't changed in a long time, to be honest. And really, it's just a tax incentive program that employers can put in place for not only themselves, but for their employees. So again, with all the tax changes, there really isn't a lot of vehicles to take advantage of, like the 401k. It's really the primary vehicle that we see the typical American saving for retirement. It's critical that everyone have access to this.
I agree 100%. And also in the veterinary space, there's shortages of all types of employees, whether it's a veterinarian, tech, office managers, just every employee space in the veterinary industry there's shortages. And so I think this is one way that a practice owner can attract talent, can attract an associate veterinarian or the support staff to come and keep them loyal to the firm as well. So, and control the match and that kind of thing. What's your thoughts on that?
More important than ever, right? I mean, I think that veterinarians are small businesses, so they're challenged with keeping good employees on staff, right? My background, I grew up in the large plan space working with companies that had a lot of resources. So benefits was a primary focus for those firms, those companies of that size. I think it's always been a challenge for small businesses to be able to provide the same level of benefit to attract that talent. So 401k is a critical aspect of that for companies to be able to stay on par with the benefits packages that other employers have.
And that's one thing that I've been so impressed with human interest is what you just said. The fact that you can go into even a startup company and create a 401k plan. I know I've been in the industry for over 25 years and I've never seen that. Like going back years in my business, unless you were this big, huge company, you couldn't offer your employees a 401k.
Yeah.
So speak to that. Like, how would a veterinarian, if he or she has a startup or is a small office of just a handful of employees, how would that look?
Yeah, I think to your point, the small plans market has always suffered with expensive, complicated product. And I think fast forward to today, I grew up again at the legacy firms. And for whatever reason, technology, the design of a 401k really hasn't changed very much over the span of its life. Well, now you have firms like Human Interest and a handful of other fintech forward record keepers that really are leveraging technology to make it easy for companies of any size, startup or plus, a few employees or a lot of employees. So really to be able to provide them with a modern 401k solution that they don't have to learn every detail about how it works. They just need it to work. So they really have leveraged technology to make it easy. One of those is just the integration of payroll. Again, I won't dive deep into that, but that's really what makes this work. The integration of payroll with modern record keeping, which is what my firm provides, and making it easy for the end user, the employer, to be able to provide this important benefit to their employees.
Exactly. And that technology is key. As you know, RFG Advisory is a big tech company who believes that we provide all the technology for our clients, financial planning clients, but to partner with human interests that is kind of like-minded with that, we're not going into the dinosaur ages when we bring human interest to the table for our clients and our practices. So it's very, very nice to hear you talk about that and to see it in action as I have. Let's talk a little bit about the other options out there. So a lot of the veterinarians that I've come across are just doing an IRA. They think that that's all they have available to them. And the contribution limits for an IRA is this year for 2024 have gone up a little bit, $7,000 for a traditional or Roth IRA, with $8,000 if you're over 50, the catch-up provision. How does that compare a 401k plan? This is a two-part question. And then secondly, I run into the people who do have a plan and that are veterinarians. What I'm seeing over and over again is a simple plan setup. Could you just briefly talk about the differences in those three types of IRA versus simple versus 401k?
Fantastic question. And again, I think one of the things that really has caught me by surprise is how efficient we can offer a full-fledged 401k to a small company, small startup company, and in some cases, even a solo provider. So a one-person company that can go with an IRA, right? And IRAs are great. I mean, I think all the vehicles are fantastic, and they definitely serve their need at that point in time when they were kind of created. I think the real difference between the three of them is just how much you can contribute. An IRA is limited with how much you can put away. A simple has some limitations on what the employer and employee can put away. And then for full maximum contributions and tax benefit, the 401k is the premier product that you want to go and incorporate into a business. I think what I found, again, with human interest in these fintech forward pricing schedules. I mean, a 401k plan with one person, 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people had a very high ceiling for its fee structure. Unfortunately, that's really what kept the small businesses or small headcount companies away from a full-fledged 401k, the expense, the cost. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, not only was it expensive, it was also a poor product for those smaller companies. That's really where I think we've stepped in to be able to provide a very fee-friendly modern 401k solution that bundles everything that used to be complicated about a 401k. The veterinarian practice in this case does not have to become a 401k expert. Large companies typically have 401k staff or HR departments that can actually help support those needs. Small offices, small companies don't. They need help. And I think that's where human interest and these handful of fintech forward record keepers have really leveraged technology to turnkey everything and make it very easy. So from a fee structure, what I've seen and happens every day, taking over simples or providing the alternative of a 401k instead of a simple to a new company is really the fee structure. We're inexpensive. So I've seen us disrupt that simple space where today it just doesn't make any sense anymore to really do a simple, not based on price anyways.
Right.
And you get all the tax benefit that you do with a full-fledged 401k for yourself as the employer and the employees. So again, I think we're a fantastic alternative. And really the simple in my mind is becoming obsolete. You don't have to go that route anymore.
I'm so glad to hear you say all that. That is pure gold, because what I'm hearing from my veterinarians that I interact with is they don't understand that. They still think that the 401k is too expensive and not for them. Yep. They are misinformed. And so that is what I want to shout from the rooftop today is don't let that shut you out. Don't think that is unavailable to you because of a cost and because of the fees. Yeah. One thing that we've done with our relationship with human interest is we've provided apples to apples comparison. So again, the show is to educate, but obviously if you want more information about that, if you are a practice owner or a practice manager, reach out to us. And it's so simple to get that apples to apples comparison. Yeah. And I love your process around that as well.
The market, again, has gotten way too complicated. And really, I think over the years, I've really have become an expert in dissecting pricing from other competitors. I don't know why it's gotten so complicated, but what we're trying to do is simplify it. A plus B equals C is the way this is supposed to work, but that's the current environment. And I think that's what really frustrates a lot of end users and business owners. So you don't have to become an expert anymore. We take that liability away from you. We sign off on the 5,500. Business owners love that because, again, veterinarians are in the business of helping, their furry clients, right? Not becoming an ERISA specialist is not on the top of most people's lists. So again, I think we take that away from them.
Yeah. 2 takeaways from what you just said. Number one, the time standpoint, veterinarians are working incredible hours. I mean, Some offices are open 7 days a week. Some hospitals are to take care of those emergencies and things like that. So they don't have time to think about this. Let us be your thinking partner. Let us take care of this, take this off your plate and just give you the reviews and the information that you really need. That's so important with what's happening in the veterinary space. Really keeping everything simple is important. That's the biggest thing that I heard you just say. I think things become complicated. Transparency leads to understanding, right? And we all want to have transparency when we are dealing with financial matters of all types, even the basic financial planning. Keep it simple. Let me understand what you're saying. And then I can understand what we have going on. And so I love what you just said about that. Let's not make it so complicated. Why do they make it complicated? What are we not seeing, right? That's what the questions that go off in my mind. I love the simplicity that you're talking about and the transparency.
Yeah, no, look, it's 2024, the last time I checked, right? And we all have Amazon and Netflix for a reason. We want easy. And our industry is being kind of slow to get to that stage, but I think the technology is changing everything. And nobody wants to know how 401ks work per se. They want them to work. And small businesses in particular that we're talking about today, I mean, not to have a plan is a real problem. So really giving access to a simple, again, modern 401k solution for everyone that wants it, because everybody needs it, I think is very important.
What kind of control does an owner have over when they set up the plan, contributions for the employees? Do they have choices around the match and that kind of thing? Could you mention that for a minute?
Without a doubt. And there's a ton of flexibility around plan design. Plan design is another complicated topic that we make very easy. Again, we've automated everything that we can automate because the structure of the plan design for most companies is pretty standard. No, it's not as complicated as most people make it out to be. You answer several key questions and the answers kind of fall out of that. Small business starting up, maybe not profitable to the point that they want to share those profits. They can decide when they give those profits to the employees. A very popular plan design is what is called the profit sharing plan design, where a business owner can go ahead and give a small portion of contributions to the employees. And that small contribution eliminates discretionary testing. So again, making sure that these plans are fair to all people involved. Again, they're structured and have plenty of plan design to benefit and really provide what's needed for that company, depending on what stage it's at.
Stepping back a minute, comparing the simple to the 401k, I just did want to touch on like contribution limits, the difference there just briefly. This is IRS code. This is for every plan out there. Could you just tell us a little bit about the different contribution limits?
Yeah, a big one, right? We talked about simples, and I think one of the bigger benefits to a full-fledged 401k, they change every year annually, right? So for the 401k, today you can put in $23,000 into your 401k. If you're over 50, you can add additional 7,500. Pretty substantial with regards to what you can put away as an employee. For a simple, the contribution limit for 2024 is 16,000. So there's already a significant difference there. There is a catch-up provision of 3,500 for the employee over 50 in a simple. But again, I think part of the problem is not only the limitations, the tax benefit to the employer with the simple. The other part that I think is worth mentioning is that it's just not modernized. I mean, most simple product is very antiquated. It's a lot of manual paperwork, which at the company level was just complicated to manage. You have somebody that's frustrated having to do all this manual paperwork. We've again engaged technology to make it easy, and in most cases at a very attractive price point. So I think I'll be surprised if simples continue to have any impact on the market, because I think companies like ours that are leveraging technology are making them obsolete.
I agree 100%. But from a financial planning standpoint, that additional $7,000 to $10,000 contribution limit for maybe the lower end employees who can't, obviously they don't make enough money to put that kind of money away typically. But for the practice owners and the associate doctors there, this is huge. I mean, this could change the path of their retirement and make up maybe for some early years. It could be tremendous in getting them to their financial goals. And also with the ability that Human Interest has, and maybe a lot of other plans as well in the 401k market, more and more are becoming available to have Roth options. So that gives us another planning option to have either all or part of the money going into the Roth, which is tremendous because that grows tax-free, even though you don't get the upfront tax write-off.
A great point. Again, I've been doing this a long time. I remember when we started introducing Roth contributions to the planned business segment. It's hard to believe there's still a product out there that doesn't have it available because of dated record keeping technology. So again, I think with us and most of the new tech forward firms, I mean, Roth is just part of the package. So again, you as the employee have the opportunity to go ahead and do it pre-tax or post-tax, which has some pluses and minuses, right? But as an advisor that works with these clientels, that's a huge advantage to have that flexibility.
Right. Well, this has been so interesting. Again, not just your financial planning, but look at your 401k, look at your options that are available in the workplace. If you could just, Paul, give us 3 takeaways. What are the 3 top points that we talked about today that someone could consider when looking at their workplace plan?
As a business owner of veterinary practice, I think it's so critical to go ahead and start early, not only for the employees, right, that you're trying to capture talent, but as a business owner, you get caught up in your business, right? That is your retirement. And I think it's so easy for them, if they set it up correctly with the help of their trusted financial advisor, to start as early as possible. These plans work. I see it on a daily basis where these things accumulate substantial assets for the employer and the employees, and everybody needs to secure their retirement. I think this is a great way to do it. Number 2, don't be afraid of it. Nobody wants to tackle this because they've got a full plate already. They think this is complicated. Technology has really modernized this. the day of having to sit through dozens of hours of meetings and paperwork, and then ongoing managing this at the company level with documents and spreadsheets and everything else, that with the right provider goes away. And then the last thing, save. If you're a veterinarian or you're one of the technicians that works at the veterinarian clinic, everybody needs to start thinking about retirement as early as possible. It's a huge advantage. The earlier you start, the better off you are. I've got 2 kids in college. My daughter reminded me not too long ago that everybody in the house is employed now, Dad. So
That's good.
they're internships, but yeah, they're making their own money now. And I go, how much are you going to put away for retirement? And I've always drilled into their head 15% to take control of that early on makes a huge difference.
Yes, it does. Well, the final question I always like to ask my guest for a piece of advice to young veterinarians. And in this case, I'm going to ask, usually I say, what piece of advice would you give a new graduate, a new veterinarian? But in this case, what piece of advice would you give? And you kind of already answered it in the 3 points, but just to reiterate, what's the one thing you would tell a new practice owner? A young new practice owner.
Again, I have the luxury of speaking to young business owners, veterinarian in this case, on a regular basis. And I remind them, right? I mean, time goes by fast. This is for you, right? The business is fantastic. And I know that's kind of where they really focused the majority of their time and efforts. But if they take advantage of these modern retirement products, with the direction of a good advisor, right, that they can really accumulate money and give them flexibility on top of their successful practices. And again, I think too many times I see it with young business owners, focus on the practice, focus on the business, and they forget about this. And I see older business owners, and 20 years goes by and they never did anything. And all of a sudden, they really missed out on a lot of benefit if you structure these things correctly. And there's more sophisticated plan design. Marcia, that's another call for another day. But I mean, there's other plan design structures on top of the 401k that I think really can benefit, especially medical practices and veterinarians, because there is a lot of successful practices out there that need tax benefits, probably more so than anything else. So again, it's chapter 1, if you will. But look forward to continuing the conversation.
Absolutely. I'd love to have you back sometime to talk about that at a later date. So we'll stay in contact.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, Paul. You have been fabulous. What a wealth of information and knowledge. I know our listeners are going to appreciate hearing this episode. We will put your contact information. I know you're on LinkedIn and all of that in our show notes. So thank you again for joining us.
We're here to help. Marcia, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, that was a great conversation. Thanks, Marcia, for facilitating it. It's funny, we throw the word technology around a lot, and I don't think that it often translates into anything meaningful for a lot of people. And in this case, the takeaway is the technology has done something really terrific that people should be aware of. It's made these products less expensive and less complicated, and therefore they should be less intimidating to people. So good
Absolutely.
Conversation to have. For anybody who's listening today who want to reach out to you and get a hold of you to have a conversation about these or any other financial advice you might have to offer, how do they reach out to you, Marcia?
Our office phone number is 205-795-2013. My personal phone is 205-739-1928. And if you want to go to our website or go to our calendar to self-schedule, the easiest way to remember that is Meet with Marcia. So meetwithmarcia.com. Made it real easy. You can see my whole team when you go to that site. And just remember, Marcia is Marcia, because if you put the other spelling, it will not take you to our website.
Marcia. No,
That's it all day long.
Marcia. Remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed. The other thing people should remember, if you're listening to this and you are not a subscriber already, be a subscriber. It's easy. Just hit the subscribe button. That way you will be automatically notified whenever Marcia drops a new episode of her podcast. We'd also ask that if you like it, you find it interesting, rate it, share it with people, let folks know about the podcast. I'm Bill Tucker on behalf of Marcia and everybody at Making Hay. I want to thank you for listening today, and I want to remind you also that you can go out today and make it a great day or not. It's your choice. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the Making Hay podcast. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at meetwithmarcia.com or give us a call at 205-795-2013. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analyses of Marcia Miller. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by Marcia Miller or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives or RFG Advisory LLC, RFG Advisory or RFG, a registered investment advisor. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.